It was a comfy day in Portland on October 17, 1982, with a light rain shower cooling the city. Michelle Basil, a 13-year-old girl, was also at her home enjoying the day when she suddenly heard the phone ring. It was her 19-year-old sister, Kim Basil, on the line. However, it didn't sound like a pleasant routine.
And she just said that she was in trouble and she needed to come home. She was standing in the shower, so no one would know she was on the phone.
Kim was panicking, and she was in trouble. Michelle listened in horror to her sister's deafening screams and frightened calls for help.
And then someone came in and found out she was on the phone, and they started to violently beat her. And the phone dropped, but it didn't disconnect. And then they started burning her with cigarettes. I could hear begging them to stop burning her. I just listened as long as I could, and then finally someone hung the phone up.
Michelle immediately informed her mother, who was also shook to the core. Although her mother immediately asked police for help, they went on to discard it as a mere runaway case due to her age. And with that, a poor soul lost her life, and law couldn't bring justice for her for 16 years.
I contacted the police and they told me I had to wait the 2 weeks to file a missing person. They considered her a 19-year-old runaway. She was an adult until they had something proving that she was gone. There really was very little investigation.
What happened to Kim Basil? How did she end up in such a horrific state? Kim Basil was born to Carol Basil in Oregon, Portland. She had a calm and peaceful childhood. After 6 years, the family welcomed their second daughter, Michelle. The young and gorgeous teenager was a beauty school student. For several weeks, the family didn't hear from Kim, and they feared the worst. The phone call was a surprise for the family, and it was not good news. To protect and serve was not just on the minds of some of the policemen during the 70s and 80s. Even though it was understood that Kim was in deep trouble, police made no significant moves. It was evident that she was on an open phone line with her sister while she was being viciously beaten. Something was definitely wrong with the entire picture. According to Michelle, Kim sneaked into the shower to call for help. However, Michelle couldn't ask her why or where she was. Someone grabbed Kim, and they began beating her into a pulp. The phone call, however, wasn't disconnected. Someone was cruel enough to cause burns to Kim with cigarettes. During the entire call, Michelle kept pleading with them not to hurt her sister. She tried to be on the phone till the end, until someone hung up the call. That was the last time Kim talked to her family. A year later, the disappearance remained a mystery, and the family didn't know whom to seek help from. They urged the police to look into it, and finally, they began the investigation. They eventually came to a shocking discovery. Kim Basil had been dating Danny Longoria, who was a member of the notorious Mexican Mafia. The police sensed foul play. Who are the Longoria family? Did they have something to do with her missing? On October 25, 1983, the Portland police were on a sting operation to catch some drug dealers. They caught a local drug trafficker. He led them to a crucial piece of information they had been looking for a while. The first clue to Kim Basil's disappearance. Detective Joe Goodale questioned the informant, and the clues from him led them to Esther Benita Cahoot and John Santmeyer. They were the eldest members of the infamous Mafia family in Colorado, and they had always been connected to the young people to plan and execute crimes. If someone was seen as a potential threat who would expose their secrets, they would immediately eliminate them. For them, it was a ruthless routine, and they were insanely good at it. Kim was also part of their grand plan to loot a shop. As a part of this plan, which they had successfully executed, about $250,000 worth of merchandise was stolen from Fred Meyer. Around this time, the visuals that were recorded by the surveillance cameras came to light, and Kim, having been captured in these camera visuals, was certainly petrified that she was going to jail.
I think at one point during this investigation, the store informed me that they believe they may have lost up to $250,000 worth of merchandise before they had figured this out. They set up a surveillance with video surveillance and captured this on film.
Afraid of the consequences, she went to the Longoria family to seek protection and refuge for her and her family. She even threatened to reveal their secrets if she was not taken care of. From cocaine trafficking, safe breaking to simple thefts, Longoria family was at the peak of its criminal activities. Kim, who was still a teenager, might have been careless and naive in choosing them as friends. It was never the right way, choosing to deal with such shady people. The only loophole police could use was the well-known Longorian family tactic. They had a habit of recording conversations with other criminals to use as bargaining chips if they ever faced legal trouble.
They like to tape record other criminals and use that for barter should they ever be arrested. And instead of going to jail, they wanted to trade something.
They preferred negotiation over facing the consequences of their actions. When it came to the inquiry on Kim's case, since the Longoria family had been looking for ways to avoid jail time by offering something valuable in return, Detective Goodale came up with a master plan. In November 1983, he teamed up with Linda Estes, a detective from a neighboring county who had connections to the Longoria family. Together, they approached Danny Longoria, who was also a member of the Longoria family. They were hoping to convince him to find evidence against either John Santmeyer or Esther Cahoot, Danny's cousin. In the Longoria family, John Santmeyer was the first person in command, and Esther came next. To their surprise, Danny didn't hesitate. As soon as Kim Basil's name was mentioned, he repeated that he was innocent. Yet in a sudden turn, he agreed to cooperate with the police investigation. He agreed to participate in wiretapped conversations, offering to make recorded phone calls to both suspects and potential witnesses in the case who may have valuable information. Danny called Esther as the police waited, expecting a grand reveal from her. However, she remained tight-lipped.
Lawyer said that I killed that broad. That you had the police.
That's a story. That's a story. Swear to God. That's absolutely made up story. You have nothing to worry about. You did absolutely nothing. I have no contact with you or nothing.
That's not the point. I don't want them to put a bug beef on me, man.
Around this time, some unsettling rumors about Kim's death started circulating. Her body was rumored to have been disposed of using a wood chipper. Although it sounded like baseless rumors, Detective Goodale went behind the clue and interviewed the shopkeeper who had sold the wood chipper.
And interviewed the owner of this wood chipper and looked over the grounds. And I could envision finding pieces of body parts that have been through a chipper out here. We never did, thank goodness.
But that turned out to be just another dead end. Despite their efforts, Goodale and Estes uncovered nothing substantial. There was no sign of Kim's body, no tangible evidence to support the rumors. However, what was left behind was the frustrating lack of cooperation from the Longoria family. 8 years later, on a winter afternoon, a new turn arrived when John Santmeyer of the Longoria family requested a meeting with Detective Gray Muncie. He was at the Clackamas jail due to a probation violation. It was an unexpected meeting, and he decided to come clean about the 1982 murder of Kim Basil.
What I do remember, the night, I'm not sure of the night that it was. I was awakened by Esther.
The detective understood the tight-knit group was now in a turmoil, and Santmeyer was here to trade information to protect himself. He revealed that Esther and Roy from the family were involved in Kim's murder. Esther requested Santmeyer to help her out, and he helped to dispose of the body.
She had asked me to help move the body, for which she had already called her brother and her son, which is Roy and John, and she had showed me the body, for which down toward the lower part of the body, which would have been groin area, was a big wet spot, to where I automatically assumed that she was dead already.
Kim was wrapped in a sleeping bag and was carried to the pickup truck. Roy and John then departed with the truck, having Kim's cold and lifeless body hidden in the rear. It seemed like Santmeyer might have hid crucial parts where his involvement was prominent. The detectives, however, needed evidence before finding whether he had a crucial role in the murder. 2 weeks later, detectives uncovered yet another potential break within the Longoria family. This time it involved Esther Cahoot's nephew, Benny Munoz, who found himself behind bars on a charge of attempted murder. However, what caught the detectives' attention was Munoz's apparent eagerness to strike a deal, seemingly willing to offer up information about his own aunt in exchange for leniency. When Benny stepped forward, it shed more light on Kim's body and its whereabouts. He revealed details about a property owned by his Aunt Esther. Over the years, he had heard whispers of a young girl being murdered and hidden somewhere on that property.
I heard him talking to somebody on the phone about property up in front that my mom and dad was selling. That's how I knew that she was going to be moved up to there. I was the one that dug that hole.
Did you dig it for this reason?
No.
Why'd you dig it?
For an outhouse. I thought it was going to be used for a grave.
Benny even went as far as drawing a map, pinpointing the location where he believed the body was buried. Benny's description led investigators to a secluded area outside Portland. With a search warrant in hand, the detectives embarked on a mission to locate Kim Basil's body. After an extensive search spanning 3 hours, detectives made a grim discovery: human remains concealed within a sleeping bag. Through dental records, forensic experts confirmed the identity of the recovered remains as Kim Basil's. Detective Michael Gates now had the hard task to reach out to the victim's family and deliver the devastating news. After 16 years of uncertainty and anguish, the truth about Kim's fate finally came to light. As part of the ensuing investigation, numerous individuals also expressed fears of facing a similar fate to Kim's if they spoke up. Another development came forth when Frank, a cousin within the Longoria clan, who had just been released on bail, was approached by Detective Michael Gates. Frank requested to speak with his wife before making a decision. Frank returned home and discussed the matter with his wife, who advised him to do what he believed was right. The following day, Frank returned to Michael and expressed his willingness to sit down for an interview with the detective, which the detective duly ensured to have it recorded. During the interview, Frank revealed that John Santmeyer had confessed to smothering Kim with a pillow on a couch.
I was drinking with this associate, John Santmeyer, and he was a little intoxicated, and he started talking about how he smothered her.
When you say her, how do you know it was Kim?
He said her name. He said that he smothered Kim on the couch of my aunt's home, and that she was fighting for air, and he said he took her to the mountains and put her in a pre-dug hole.
The information provided another crucial piece to the puzzle. Frank underwent a polygraph test regarding Santmeyer's confession, and passed without any indication of deception, adding some credibility to his testimony. Despite John Santmeyer's arrest for the murder of Kim Basil on March 19, 2000, Michael Gates remained determined to uncover the full extent of those involved in the crime. He suspected that Esther Cahoot, second in command of the Longoria family, played a significant role in the tragic events surrounding Kim's death. While detained in the county jail, authorities intensified their interrogation of John Santmeyer. The police's belief was that both Santmeyer and Cahoot had subjected Kim to hours of torment and abuse before her death. Santmeyer confessed that Kim was restrained in a sleeping bag when he and Esther made the fateful decision to end her life.
Esther came up to me and said, "Hey, let's just do it this way." She's in the sleeping bag. She brought me into the front room, showed me Kim was in the sleeping bag, all zipped up, the only part that was showing was her head.
Santmeyer revealed that Esther wanted Kim dead to show off to Danny Longoria. And when Kim threatened about revealing their dirty secrets, Esther thought it was the right time to eliminate her. Subsequently, Esther Cahoot faced charges of first-degree murder. However, she opted to plead guilty to manslaughter, resulting in a 9-year prison sentence. In contrast, John Santmeyer pled guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after serving 10 years. On November 4, 2005, Esther Cahoot was released. After being released from prison, Esther went on to live with her sister in a trailer. After years of uncertainty, the mysterious truth about Kim's murder was finally revealed. However, comprehensive criminal records and foul play involving the Mafia family was something that remained yet to be fully disclosed. Kim's family went through years of torment before finally finding closure. However, the criminals involved were granted parole, while some felt that the gravity of the crime was still not inflicted.